I don't know what is actually going on with Odegaard with his passing and his connectivity, but I just feel like he's not coming up to the level which is where was this last season or against PSV or against even Everton away. He was really good, or Bournemouth away. We played him away. Yeah, Bournemouth
Bournemouth
away. Like he
away,
was
yeah.
really good.
Mm.
He's just really inconsistent at the moment. But I do think that the lack of movement from behind him or the balls coming into him is really affecting him. And I think the microcosm of his football is summed up in that Spurs at home game. He got a yellow card and he couldn't press, which then it didn't allow him to do what he normally does: win the ball back high, pass the ball to either Saka, Jesus, or whatever, or get a shot off, which we know he's got the ability to do because we've seen it
Mm.
last season with 15 goals, and this season we saw the great goal he scored against PSV, and he also scored a great goal against Man United at home, which was then ruled off for offside. I don't know if you remember, but I just think that he's not playing well, but also the things behind him aren't allowing him to get those amount of touches and get the
Yeah.
consistency of the football. And I think it's again just frustrating because you don't want to take away too much responsibility from the captain, which we have to remember he is the captain, but we also don't want to, I don't want to lose context. And the context is that Jorginho just doesn't get the ball forward. And you've also had, unfortunately for this season, Havertz, who I feel like he's had to pick up a little bit of slack for him because Havertz just doesn't have the intensity. And it's just one of
Yeah.
those things. Now, my issue is with maybe more so non-Arsenal fans say, Odegaard is a ghost. Odegaard doesn't turn up in big games and this, that, and the other. Well, that's crap because he scored 3 goals against Man United. He scored 2 goals against Spurs. Fine, he hasn't got any GA against Man City, but he's turned up. He scored, I think he got an assist against Liverpool last season. He does
He has a goal against
produce.
Newcastle. He
He has
did
a goal
produce.
against Newcastle,
Like,
2 goals against Brighton. That's the first
yeah.
thing. So please, can we like get rid of this absolute BS that he doesn't turn up? That's the first thing. But my other thing is, you're only as good as the people around you, and we also have to look at Saka. We also have to look at Jesus because he was horrible yesterday. So it's not just him. He's the creator. He's the linchpin. But everybody else has to be offering something for him to have an assist or to move and do things. So I just, again, what I don't want to do is seem like, oh, I'm bringing excuses because I genuinely don't feel like he needs to get away with anything because we all know, I'm admitting to you live on air, well on this video that
Yeah,
he isn't performing to the level that we know he can do.
exactly.
I can't scream that from the heavens enough. But I also
Mm.
feel like his level has dropped because he's having to do so many other things. And again,
Yeah.
when we speak about how Havertz doesn't do this and Havertz doesn't do that, well, why don't we give the context of maybe that's why he's not performing to the level because he's having to work around and work with players who he's getting to know and who don't offer the same things as Xhaka did last season, where he would get the yellow card and Odegaard wouldn't. So
Yeah.
that's all I'm asking for. The same context that we give for Romero as to why he's so much better now because he's got Van der Ven, his levels improved. Maybe Odegaard's levels dropped because he's got Havertz, who is maybe not performing to the level that he should be to, and to allow
Yeah.
Odegaard to express himself. Why can't we have that same context? That's all I'm asking for. That makes you a football fan rather than being biased.
Yeah. Uh, Honestly, I'm so glad you said it because anytime I say anything about Odegaard, obviously people are like, well, you can't be, objective because he's your favorite player. Odegaard is my favorite player. So a lot of times I want to give him the benefit of the doubt. But here's the reason why I give him the benefit of the doubt. Because over the last 2 seasons, him and Saka have been our best performers. So you build
Mm,
up credit in the bank with me. And I will always feel like if we just tweak some things or give you some time, you'll come back into form. Because all top players, we just don't notice it because we don't watch them all the time. Every single top player
true.
goes through bad runs of form. They do. Like
Hmm.
it's not like he's not exempt from that. He's human. After 2 seasons of having maybe a handful of poor games, he's going through a difficult beginning of the season. And the
Hmm.
thing that's changed over the last 2 seasons, look at that. Like the season before and the 2 seasons ago and last season, he was playing with a consistent group around him, Granit Xhaka and Thomas Partey, and they created a very good the balance in that midfield was so good, was so good. And then the next season, it was kind of like we added Jesus in there and he would drop in a little bit, and Zinchenko was coming in. So there's a lot of different people doing different roles in midfield. Now Zinchenko's not really getting central as much. Jesus is not really doing the creative stuff as much anymore. And you've switched out Granit Xhaka for Kai Havertz. And you've switched out Partey for Rice. And people expect that not to change Odegaard's role or affect him in any sort of way. We haven't even seen the same midfield play together like more than 3 times. It's
Mhm.
chopping and changing every single time. So I do think Odegaard needs to play better. And from the first game of the season, I said, even in preseason, I was like, he don't look the same. I said it. He doesn't look the same. Like something's not right there. And I just chalked it up to maybe he needs a little bit of a rest. Maybe he needs, some rotation, whatever. But some of the takes that I've seen about Odegaard, I feel like is completely harsh. I just feel like the idea that we need to move beyond him, he's crap,
It's
he never
crazy.
shows
It's
up,
so crazy.
is
It's
just
so crazy.
insane to me. Like,
It's
we,
absolutely not.
as a fan base, I don't think we have the ability to critique our players in the moment, but also give them grace. I think it's like we have to go to like as far as we can possibly go. He's crap. We need to get rid of him. Strip him of the captaincy. He's done. And I feel like that's incredibly harsh, but we do need to figure out a way to get the most out of him, because when he's playing well, I think we're playing well. What
Mhm.
changes do you think we need to make? Is it just as simple as Partey coming in and Rice moving to the left 8, or is that too simplistic? Because I didn't think Rice looked that good in the left 8 yesterday.
Yeah,
I didn't.
I think it's very, very. I think the spooky part of it comes from the fact that I realized Rice isn't a left 8. He isn't, because what
Mm,
he does offer you is he offers you such stability. He's got such control over the ball. If you notice, he never loses the ball. He's great tracking back, but he doesn't offer you the forward vim. He cannot offer you anything going forward. He doesn't link. He doesn't
mm,
seem to create any real angles for him. He doesn't seem to get into those spots as currently, and he has to learn. He's 24 years old or whatever it is. So I'm not expecting him to be this amazing perfect person. you know and I always say to people, right, and I look at it from a teacher's point of view, why do people expect like 21-year-olds, 22, 24-year-olds to be perfect already? Can I just remind everybody, at 21, you just leave university. So that means whatever profession you are in, you have just started your career. You're just learning. Now, okay, fine. In football terms, you might have been playing for 3 years prior, but that's all the learning that you're doing. So you're only experienced at 25, 26, 27. So yes, Declan Rice might have been the captain of West Ham, but that doesn't mean anything in terms of him being the best version of himself. He's going to take
mm.
time. So he's only really been a professional at the highest level, in my eyes, for 3 years. Why am I expecting him to know every single thing or comparing him to a 30-year-old in Jacka? It doesn't make sense.
Or
It is the
Partey
stupidest
too.
thing.
Partey
Literally.
too.
So
Like,
yeah, or
Partey's
Partey.
been
So
around. Yeah.
for me, it's hard because I love Declan Rice. Like everybody knows, I wanted Caicedo, but Declan Rice has absolutely changed every single minute part of me, every fabric, every
Yeah.
molecule in me. I've
Mm,
held my hands up and I've said, look, I was wrong. He's so good. But one of them in Partey or Declan Rice has to be in that 6 role, and the other one can't be in the left 8 role. I don't think that Partey is good enough in that position, not because they can't do it, but I'm talking about the attacking wise. Now it's funny because we had the opposite with Xhaka. He wasn't good defensively. He would work really hard for the team last season, but
yeah.
attacking wise, he got 5 goals and whatever it was, 5 assists or 7 assists. But
Yeah.
defensively, he didn't offer what. But he was the hard man, and he was like the person that would get the yellow cards, as I was saying earlier, for Odegaard, so he could do the pressing and he could be just the creative one. So he had that blanket around him. So the issue is Havertz isn't a left 8 role, left center mid basically at all.
Mm.
I feel like again that's obvious to us for us to see. We saw the cameo he put in for yesterday. That was really, really good, and I'm sure again we're going to get into that, so I'm not going to speak on it too much. But we're now seeing that we have a problem because Fabio Vieira is not good enough there. ESR I don't trust there to do the defensive work. So if we had a Szoboszlai, let's just say he's coming and he looks really good, or a Nunes from Man City, or
Paquetá
someone else, I think
is
it
perfect.
or Paqueta would be absolutely, or Bruno
It's
Guimaraes.
perfect.
These
Yeah.
players would be perfect in that role, and then you've got that solidity behind you with a Declan Rice or a Partey. So it's to get the best out of the team and Odegaard. I just feel like there needs to be someone else next to him, and it shouldn't be Declan
Mm.
Rice because the attacking thing, he's not offering the angle. He's not offering that attacking vim and that verve that Xhaka learned and built over 2-3 seasons, as you said, with Arteta teaching him and almost tutoring him into the positions that he should be in. So,
Mm.
and I think long term, as we know, Partey's not going to be here forever. I think Rice is going to take that sixth role. So you're almost having to teach him something now, which he's then
Yeah.
going to have to unlearn because he's going to be the sixth for the foreseeable future. So I think, as we spoke about, again, I'm holding my hands up. Odegaard does need to play better. And I love Odegaard. I'm never going to sit here and slander him because, you made a great point. People will go so crazy. It's like hyperbolic. And the Arsenal fans are so known for this. Like, calm the hell down. He played 38 games last season in the Premier League, I believe. And the season before that, he played half a season with us. This season, he's had some good performances and he's had some really bad performances. So over the totality of his Arsenal career, he's had way more good games than bad games. So why do people keep saying that he's not good enough? Even that
Yeah.
doesn't make any sense to me. If you played way more, 65-70% of your Arsenal career has been good and 30 or 35% has been bad, how does that make you a bad player? It doesn't even make you inconsistent. That makes you a very good player who, in moments when you first came, or in some moments, you do flatter to deceive. But nobody's perfect. I've seen De Bruyne have bad performances where he's been benched for 8 games or 6 games. It happens. Like, some players
We
have to
don't
play through them.
ride. We
It's
we
crazy.
refuse to ride with our players when they
It's
go through bad
crazy.
periods. I think that
It's
that's like
crazy.
a flaw. I do. I
And
just feel like one minute
people go,
we're online talking about this is the player that's closest to De Bruyne, and then the next minute when he's
it's mad.
having a bad game, we are unwilling to stand up for our players when it really counts. I've seen
It's
them do
so
it with
mad.
Saka. I've seen them do it with Martinelli. It's one of the worst. That's why I don't be listening to them when they're putting our players up on pedestals. I'm like, the first moment that this player has a bad game, you're turning your back on them. I
Well, listen,
can't do
let
it.
me just, we know, look, UK media, the UK fans, I feel it's just thing where we build players up and we love to chop them down. That is literally what we do in this country. We build
Mm,
them up to a point of no return, and then when they get to the top, it's how do we get them down? How do we chop them down the quickest? How do we stop picking at them? How do we do this? How do we do that? But like, that isn't how football works. That is not how life works. That is not how things go. Like, you can't be so reactionary to say, well, like, we've played 9 games. In those 9 games, he's probably had 4 bad games and he's probably had 5 good games, or however you want to surface it or chop it up.
mm,
So what? Now he's crap. Last season he got 15 goals. So now he's right. All of a sudden, that was a fluke last season, and now this is the real him. It makes no
no
sense.
sense.
It's so stupid. So
Yeah.
look, going back to your original question, I do think there are, as I said, some really simple things that we can do, but I do think that left 8 role is a bigger problem that, again, we're going to see rolling on throughout the
Yeah.
season.